Alright, let's get this video started.
Alrighty!
So guys, it's been a long time since I have done a JRPG news video, but we got so much news for this week for JRPGs that, well, it just needed to be done. So kick back and relax and let's get the ball rolling. So finally, after almost 3 years, we got a new trailer for Shin Megami Tensei 5, and it wasn't just a teaser trailer, but it was a full-blown trailer. Now, as excited as I am about this, as much as I was questioning it previously about where this game was, saying we don't have a character design, I'm a little bit let down in only one department, and it's that I wanted to see gameplay. I really wanted to see gameplay on this game. It's been a long time, 3 years, 2017, and we still don't have any gameplay. But at the end of the day, that is fine. I will take what I can get. It's nice to see that this game is back in the limelight again. The game is slated to be released simultaneously worldwide in 2021, so we might be seeing some gameplay probably towards the end of the year or at Tokyo Game Show, if anything. At the end of the day, this trailer was good, featured what we can expect from Shin Megami Tensei at this point. You know, demons, angels fighting, Tokyo getting destroyed, and the main protagonist is going to be at the center of all of it. That's why I really wanted to see gameplay above everything else, because I wanted to see if this game is going to play like Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Apocalypse, where you have a party with you supporting you and you're also using demons, or will it play like Nocturne, which you're just by yourself and you're just summoning demons. Speaking of Nocturne got announced for a HD remaster, and it's also coming in 2021. I really didn't expect that to happen, but I think they did this so they can get people familiar with the Shin Megami Tensei series again, showing people that this is what Shin Megami Tensei is. It's more like Nocturne, and it's not going to be anything like Persona. Basically, what I feel they're doing is that they're conditioning people with this re-release of Nocturne to get people ready for Shin Megami Tensei 5. This new HD remaster of Nocturne is going to have a all-new merciful difficulty, which will make the game a lot easier for newcomers to come in, pretty much to give newcomers a chance so they don't get their asses handed to them by Matador. We don't have any other details as of yet of what other new features this HD remaster is going to come with, but from off the top of my head and what I can remember from my very long Nocturne playthrough is that the game needs a fast forward option to make things a little bit more faster. Of course, you also need an indicator on the map or somewhere in the menu to tell you where to go next. And probably the biggest thing and most important feature they need to add to this new HD remaster for Nocturne is when you're demon fusing, allow for the player to choose manually what skills the new demon inherits. They do this in Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Apocalypse, and it's done in Persona, so you might as well just do it here. In regular Nocturne on PS2, it would just be random, and it would just be a huge waste of time to get the right skills on the demon that you need. Maybe they did this for it to be tedious, or maybe they did it because they felt that it balanced everything out a bit more so you don't have overpowered demons. I don't know, but they should allow us to choose whatever skills we want. I'm curious to see how this HD remaster turns out, so I will be getting it day one on PS4. It's coming to PS4 and Switch. The next piece of news I want to talk about is Atelier Ryza. We now have a sequel to Atelier Ryza. Atelier Ryza 2 is coming towards the end of the year. Now, ultimately, I am not surprised that we are getting a sequel to Atelier Ryza, a direct sequel, because of the popularity that Ryza pretty much instilled on this series and pretty much resurrect this series, not from the dead, but put it pretty much in the spotlight. Atelier Ryza was the fastest and highest selling Atelier game in the series history. So it's really no surprise that they're going on to make a sequel. To be honest, I expect a third Atelier Ryza game to come out or be announced next year, especially if Atelier Ryza 2 sells well and hits just as well as the first Ryza game did. Now, personally, I am happy for Koei Tecmo and Gus. They finally got the Atelier series on the map and people are actually thinking about buying it, whereas normally people would just ignore this series. But since Ryza is so popular, that's pretty much what's doing it. That's pretty much what's getting them the sales. And now I feel bad for them because at some point in the future, they have to move on from Ryza. They can't just keep having Ryza at the forefront for this series, and you have to believe that they're going to milk the Ryza train until it eventually dies down. And that's the thing, once you reach a certain plateau when it comes to popularity and sales, you don't want to go down again. This series should never go down to where it was before from a business standpoint, where it was just another Atelier game is releasing. Well, that's great, and people don't really care about it, because let's just face the facts, that's what it was. Listen, there might be a small percentage of you out there that really love the Atelier series, but let's not get it twisted. It was not anywhere near as popular and as well known before Ryza got to the forefront. So Koei Tecmo and Gus, enjoy the Atelier Ryza train while you can, but start looking towards the future. As a whole, I'm not really expecting too much from Atelier Ryza 2, to be honest. It's going to have a new battle system and new ways to traverse the fields and gather materials, which looks pretty cool, to be honest. One of the things I think this game is going to have that the first Atelier Ryza did not have is English voice acting. I think the popularity at this point is enough for Koei Tecmo and Gus to work on an English dub again for this series, because for a couple of Atelier games there was no English voice acting, because I believe they thought it wasn't worth the effort to put an English dub in the game when people just constantly complained about it, and the people who were buying and playing the Atelier games for the most part were people that enjoyed their games with Japanese audio. Hey, it's just the way it is now. Plus, it probably saved them a lot of money in the long term by not including an English dub in most of the games released up until this point. But now, with Ryza's popularity, there's no reason why this game should not have an English dub. So I am happy that Atelier Ryza 2 is coming. I will give it a look when it comes out towards the end of this year, or more than likely is going to bleed into next year. Speaking of games that are getting an English dub, we have Yakuza Like a Dragon coming in November. It's going to be coming to PS4, Xbox, and the Series X and PS5 as well, but it will also be getting an English dub. For the first time, the Yakuza games will have an English dub. Now, I know a lot of you are probably going to say you can't play a Yakuza game with an English dub, and well, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. Even though I don't personally play the Yakuza games, I definitely can see where you're coming from, especially with this series. But if you want the games to appeal to a larger audience, an English dub is going to help with that regard. I don't see a problem with it, especially if they give you the option between Japanese and English audio. So I feel this can only help the Yakuza series in the West. I'm going to be getting it because it's like a turn-based JRPG, and I've always had some type of an interest in the Yakuza games, just never fully pulled the trigger on them, or rather they just weren't my cup of tea. But maybe since this is like a JRPG and a turn-based JRPG at that, I will definitely be giving it a shot. The next piece of news is Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition is pretty much coming to all platforms. Before, Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition was only available on the Switch, and now it's coming to all platforms. Now, I'm not going to say I predicted this a year ago, less than a year ago, but, you know, I saw it coming from a mile away. Dragon Quest XI S Definitive Edition will be coming out December 4th of this year. And one small tidbit about this game, well, actually not small, this is really a big deal, honestly, that this is going to be a direct port of the Nintendo Switch version, meaning that the graphical fidelity that the Nintendo Switch version have, or lack thereof, is going to be ported to the PS4 and Xbox consoles. So the game isn't actually going to look as good as the original PS4 counterpart or the PC counterpart, which is kinda insane when you think about it. But I don't think you have to worry. If you're getting it on PC, they'll have graphical options for you, or mods will more than likely fix the graphical problems. And unfortunately, there is no upgrade option for this, guys. I see a lot of that going around asking if there's going to be an upgrade if you already own Dragon Quest XI on PS4 or PC. No, you're going to have to get this separate. The good news there is that this is only going to be $40. So they really could have made it 60, people, but I guess even they knew that that was a bit too much. Even $50 is a bit too much, so they brought it down to 40. So yes, you will have to buy this game again if you want to experience all the extra content that comes with the definitive edition. This includes the 2D mode. You'll have more character quests for your party members, and I believe the definitive edition also gave you new costumes for your party members. So guys, it is what it is. I'm sure some of you are not happy about that. I will be double dipping on this one, actually triple dipping on this one, because I have it on PC and I also have the Switch definitive edition, but I also want to play the definitive edition on PC. So what can I say, people? I'm a sucker for Dragon Quest as much as I am a sucker for Persona 5. I will say this though, they got me at that $40 price tag, because if it was indeed $60, I would have stayed far away from this game. But at $40, Square Enix, you just barely managed to hit my sweet spot. So as they say,
you got me.
The next piece of news I want to talk about is the Fate Extra remake. Fate Extra is getting a remake in the form of Fate Extra Record. Fate Extra was originally released on PSP back in 2010, and it's interesting because 10 years after its initial release in Japan on July 22nd, 2010, the remake was announced July 22nd, 2020. Fate Extra comes from the Fate series as a whole, and it's rather difficult to explain the Fate series and where to get started, so I'm not even going to try in this video. But I will say that I played Fate Extra back on PSP when it was released in English and thought it was a pretty good game, although the battle system was a bit questionable, and how I wished for its sequel or follow-up game Fate Extra CCC to be released in English, but it never did. It's nice to see that this game is coming back with its updated visuals on the Unreal Engine, and it looks like they're completely overhauling the battle system to be more like Fate Grand Order. So I'll definitely be getting this game when it drops, and it seems that they are strongly hinting at a possibility of the game being released worldwide, as the game's main website is in both Japanese and in English. Next up, we have Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. It would seem that PSO2 is getting a massive update that looks to be fairly similar to Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. This update will have a massive graphical overhaul, improving the visual fidelity of the game, which, to be honest, I felt was needed because PSO2 was out for years in Japan, and when it finally made its way to the West officially, I kind of felt the game looked really dated. So in order to get the world more interested and invested into PSO2, they are going to totally rehaul the game to make it look like it's a current gen game instead of a game that was made in 2013. I think this is a smart move to get more people into the game and to keep the hardcore fan base that they have had for years, or to get people to come back, because as I understand it, PSO2 is still making Sega a good chunk of money. And in this new update, you'll be able to bring over some aspects and features from the original PSO2 to New Genesis, so some players won't feel like they have to need to start over. I'm curious to see where this massive update takes PSO2. It's going to be released for Xbox and PC first, and then sometime down the line it will release on Switch and PS4, which is crazy enough because the English site for the game lists Xbox and PC only, while the Japan website lists it for PS4 and Switch. So I'm guessing in the West at least it's going to be some sort of time exclusivities to this game. I don't think it's going to release on Xbox at all in Japan for obvious reasons. No one really owns an Xbox in Japan. By the way, is anyone else getting Xenoblade Chronicles X vibes from this New Genesis update, or is it just me? And the last piece of news I want to talk about is Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This game is a spiritual successor to the Suikoden games, coming from the former developers of Suikoden. The game does look really good from the initial trailer that we got. I love the 2D sprites. They kind of remind me of Octopath Traveler, and the battle system looks to hold up to 6 party members, as the Suikoden games of the past have done. And you'll be able to recruit up to 100 party members. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this all looks good and sounds good on paper, but the moment I saw that this was a Kickstarter game, my interest took a huge hit. Every game I have been interested in when it comes to Kickstarter has flopped horribly or took years upon years to release. Mighty No. 9, Soul Saga, and Shenmue 3 being the ones that failed hard the most, fresh off the top of my head. And there might be a lot more success stories from games funded via Kickstarter than there have been failures, but for me personally, like I said, the ones that I've been interested in, they just haven't been all that great. So in order to get my interest back for this game, I'm going to need to see more gameplay and more updates released periodically for the game after it's been fully funded. If the game goes dark for too long, that's a sign of trouble. Or maybe you guys can tell me how this game will be different from other Kickstarter games. I'm not sure. Anyway, that is it for this massive JRPG news segment. Let me know down below if you guys want me to do more JRPG news segments like this, or you just want me to report, make a separate video on the news as it comes. Remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe of course if you're new to the channel, join notification brigade by hitting the bell icon, and people, I will see you all very soon in the next video. Peace.